I was enjoying this movie for a little while. I really was. I mean, the star, Ben Wang, is a perfectly affable, likable, good looking kid. And he has nice, cute chemistry with the love interest, who is also a lovely looking girl. And Joshua Jackson,
She got that job because she has a Jennifer Lawrence face.
yeah. Um, it was
Not
not
a
a,
bad actress, but like that's clearly what was on the type. The on
yeah,
the casting director's line was a Jennifer Lawrence type, and they found someone who looks like Jennifer Lawrence.
it was not a bad looking woman. Um, and you have, Joshua Jackson, and he's an affable and fun dad. Everyone's playing their roles fine. Ming Na Wen is her typical uptight Asian self.
She
Um,
deserves better than this movie because she can actually act.
yes. And Jackie Chan playing Liam Neeson is, or the the actor from The Naked Gun, the original Naked
Leslie
Gun,
Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen. Jackie Chan playing Leslie Nielsen was just fine. I laughed. The movie is moving along as all Karate Kid movies should, and one could raise an eyebrow at the fact that he loses a one-on-one fight
With a
with hi-
teenager.
with a teenager, but is able to ward off full-grown med hoodlums there to throw a
Yeah,
mafia-sized beating on one Joshua Jackson.
can and will raise that point of stupidity in a minute or two.
But I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, it's fine. This is all fine. This is, the Karate Kid movie is not known for their realism. And I'm going along and it's all fine. And, I figured 90 minutes of this silliness and I will be fine. And the kids will have a new Karate Kid movie to enjoy and there'll be peace in Israel. And then, and then we get to the boxing scene. And I could not articulate my intense anger about how this scene played out. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, Joshua Jackson has a fight with a younger opponent, but not tremendously younger as near as I could tell.
They really expected Joshua Jackson to look 10 years older than he does.
Yeah. But he's bigger and stronger and faster and meaner, and he gives Joshua Jackson the business, you see. And the mob is looking on approvingly.
Mob.
Yes, the mob. The
Air quotes around mob.
the MMA dojo mafioso.
The equivalent of this is the guy who actually ran Dana White out of cardio kickboxing in Boston.
These guys look like the full-blooded Italians from ECW,
The
but not
costumes are not that good.
but not nearly as entertaining. So anyway, little Guido and company are watching approvingly of this beefy boxer give Joshua Jackson the business, and
Because you see, this low rent thug has bet his money on the guy beating Joshua Jackson.
this is an important point that I was trying to make my son understand. They bet on him to win. I would like to point out a matter of uh, definition. Winning is not disqualification. If you are disqualified, you do not win.
You
If you
lose, in
win,
fact.
if you win, you did so by not being disqualified. You can't. These two things are not the same. In the Venn diagram, disqualification and winning are not the same circle. They are not pancakes.
They don't touch at all.
Not even a little bit. So if you are betting on a man to win, what you do is you either get the other guy to throw the fight. You say, all right, you turkey, you're going to go down in the third, see? That's when I bet money on this, see? You're going to take a dive, see?
And in exchange, you get a little bit of extra scratch.
Or we don't kill you, one or the other.
Well, you offer a little bit of extra money because that makes things easier. Whereas threatening violence, you want the violence to be there, but
or they take the bet in trade. If you throw the fight, we bet money. That money covers your debt. You are now free.
Yeah.
Go play with pizza in peace. None of these things happen in this movie.
Not a one of those, all of which would have made more sense.
They bet clean on Jamoke McGee to win this fight. And so Joshua Jackson struggling to keep up with this fella and taking a good licking. And Ben Wang says to him, now listen here, we talked about this already. I taught you the crane kick. I taught you the kata. I taught you the drum punching thing. You now all know all the secrets of kung fu and karate. Now go in there and find your balance and focus. And he says, right. And so he does the thing, you see. And
Starts
now he's
winning.
winning. He's winning. He's winning so badly that little Guido and company look at Jamoke and say, they look at him and and because Joshua Jackson has not sold his soul, they give Jamoke the sign to take out Cody Rhodes. And so he does. I would like to point out again that boxing is not the same as Muay Thai, or if you're Vince McMahon, Muay Thai. It is not a Muay Thai. What the fuck is Muay Thai? This is not in any way, shape, or form kickboxing when you can throw elbows. This was not an MMA fight.
That's actually varies a lot depending on rule set. There's some places there's some kickboxing orgs that don't let you throw elbows either, but
yeah. This was traditional, straight American apple pie Nancy Reagan boxing, where you can only use your covered hands with gloves, fists, if you will. There'll be no elbows, nothing.
And you can only use the front part of the glove, and you can only hit a quarter of your opponent.
And Jamoke proceeds to throw elbows that would have made Fedor Emelianenko jealous.
And Fedor didn't throw elbows. Why are you like this?
Oh, that would have been a good one. I can't think of the guy that won his MMA fight in England by running across and elbowing someone to death. So it would have been better there. Help me.
Well, I mean, Anderson Silva's done that a couple of times.
Fair enough. Take two. And so Jamoke throws Anderson Silva-esque elbows, not just once, not kind of a, get away from me, you. Oh, low blow, and I'm going to warn you, see? No throwing elbows. That's not right. You can't do that, see? No, none of that.
Which also, in fairness, if he does it once, sort of behind the ref's back, and just cuts Joshua Jackson and messes with him that way, we're dealing with an intelligent script and a guy who knows how to cheat properly. But no.
No, in plain sight of the referee, who was sitting down at the time with his 3D glasses on and a bucket of popcorn, does one elbow.
Boom. Boom.
And Joshua Jackson, he stars at this point.
As you do.
And then he hits him again with another elbow. And Joshua Jackson stumbles back.
And slumps to a knee.
And having not had enough of this, and the ref going, well, what else you got, pal? Hits him again and knocks him to the canvas with a third elbow. And they count Joshua Jackson out.
Well, no. Then as he's down, staggered on one knee, this big Jamoke does the big right hand and clobbers him.
Jack Dempsey over here.
Yeah.
And so standing, also not legal, not since the days of Jack Dempsey, not because of Jack Dempsey. You cannot stand over your opponent and pound on him. This isn't MMA. This isn't boxing 100 years ago. So 3 elbows and a ground and pound later, Joshua Jackson led deadeth on the canvas, and everyone aghast. Oh no, what has become of our father, the pizza maker? And then they award the fight to the Jamoke. I had to fight yet again the urge to get up and leave the fucking theater.
Me, this was about the third time I had to stop myself from leaving this movie, but
I can't call an Uber for my kids. Or I would have. I was so mad at. That's why, I like what you said about was last week. I have a gift for exaggeration. That is why I spent time on this, because this was so bad, and I could not articulate how bad this was, because you ever just get so mad that when someone asks you what's wrong, all that comes out of your mouth are vowels and animal sounds. That was me.
Very rarely.
Okay. That was me trying to explain that scene and why it made me so angry to my son. And my son's reaction was essentially like a Seinfeld kind of a thing. He's like, but father, it's a karate movie. Who cares? And I'm like, I care.
Allow me to try and articulate this problem.
Please, tag in, Hitman.
Dear writers of this movie, if you can't follow your own rules, no one will take you seriously.
I have seen less I have seen more believable fiction in the average high fantasy movie than I saw in this piece of shit. I cut in. I figured you had more to say.
No, no, look. One of the reasons that the Karate Kid movies kind of work is their world is silly, but they are consistent within it.
Yeah.
That helps you buy in. So
So
you're inviting me
hang
back
on.
into this.
Hang, for the people, here's an example. The All Valley Karate Tournament had rules. You hit here, here, and here. You don't hit here, here, and here. And anytime they violated those rules, they were either warned or they lost a point. That is the entire premise of the Mike Barnes, Danny LaRusso fight in Karate Kid 3, is that he keeps cheating to the point where the ref almost disqualifies the entire match and they run
Should,
out of
for the
time.
record, any good referee would have after the second foul. Just
Yeah.
throwing that out there.
But, even along the way, like the thing that sets up the conclusion in the first movie is that he gets attacked, an illegal shot to the leg, and the kid gets disqualified. The karate, the Cobra Kai dojo is so evil. How evil is it? They're willing to sacrifice one kid to make sure Danny LaRusso doesn't show up in the finals to take on Johnny Lawrence, also to protect Johnny Lawrence. This is all great storytelling. And it was all at least consistent within its own universe. This isn't. That's my problem with it.
Yeah, you can't tell me you can't tell me your characters are going to take a boxing match and then ignore the rules of boxing.
Again, if you're going to do that, I don't understand why they didn't just make it an MMA fight.
You easily could have done that. You could have done, you and I both laid out like, hey, here's a couple of believable scenarios that could have been laid out
Yeah.
to complicate this. Dude, this is better if he's approached and told to throw the fight and he doesn't throw the fight and then they jump him afterwards.
Yeah. Or he fights him to a decision or whatever, and and as they're raising his hand, that's when the mob says just hit him, and he punches him in the back of the head or something.
There's a million ways you could have done this that weren't this dumb.
Here's the thing. They needed Joshua Jackson to become injured so as to lay the guilt on rather thick on Ben Wang. And I think that was what my son's counter argument to me was. It's a minor point of the fight. It was entirely concocted so that Ben feels guilty about doing karate after his mother told him don't do this. And this is further aggravated by the fact that he's already feeling the guilt over not saving his brother from being stabbed to death, because this is also a thing that keeps happening in these movies. We have a stabbing in the season 6 finale of Cobra Kai.
Okay, then.
And I'm like, why? Why do we keep having stabbings in the Karate Kid franchise? But I digress.
Because guns seem weird related to this thing.
I don't know. Worked in the last Boy Scout. Remember that? Guy's running downfield. He starts just shooting people, and he gets to the end. He's like, "Ain't life a bitch?" And he just blows himself away. That'd have been fun.
Well, this isn't the last Boy Scout.
Just saying, better movie. Anyway, my point is that all you needed was for Joshua Jackson to be injured. There were a zillion ways you could have written it. You chose the stupidest.
Yeah.
To the point that I now here's the thing, and we talk about this often, and it's worth saying very succinctly. If you create a fiction, the fiction has to at least be consistent and believable in order for me to exist and enjoy the fiction through the duration of the picture. If you break the fiction, if you break the make-believe, you lose the audience. You're going to have a hard time getting them back again. It took me to the very end of this movie for me to get back into it. I was that angry and that taken out of things by what happened in that scene. And I know, like, everyone's like, oh my God, was there anything else in this movie you guys can talk about? No, because this is that bad.